Hello, Yvonne Gaybauer here with my therapy room, and I thought I would just show you some of my favorite little art journals that I have. And a lot of them are made out of simply magazine pullouts that you find when you're going through your magazines. They're not purchased from a store, they're put together, they're sewn together with string, and honestly I think I have more fun with these because I don't care, and maybe that's why, than I do with the ones that I buy. Zoom out a little bit here. But this one here, you can see the last page. I think it was the recipe one, and it says roasted pepper prosciutto. There's one page left to do in this one. So honestly, all I did was take 2 pages and gel medium them together. And then I just honestly play with them. I mean, a lot of these aren't even my favorite pages, but I just had so much fun doing this one. I do love though. You know, I just had so much fun working in this. This one here has got so much texture. I think it has a bunch of punch outs on it if I look and carefully. This one has some string on top of it and some punched out or cut out hearts and then just a saying. And I think that's a napkin in the background on this page. And then I've got this last one to do, right? This one was a Pandora bracelet catalog. This was the very first art journal that I put together, and I've done 2 pages in it, and I actually forgot I had the silly thing. This was done with my cheap craft paints. You don't have to have expensive stuff. This was probably dripped with watered down gesso, probably my homemade gesso at the time if I'm not mistaken. I cut out a heart out of red cardstock that I had, so I didn't even paint this red. I think I just cut it out of a piece of red scrapbooking paper, because that's what I did. I made cards and I scrapbooked. And then I just painted. I knew nothing about color theory. I knew nothing about balance or anything like that when I first started. So this page is quite funny when I look at it now. But anyways, I had found these 2 girls. In fact, they might even have been on this page. And I wanted them to be the focal point of the page. So I just kind of did brush strokes, a lot of dry brushing, colored in the wine glasses that they had at the bottom of the page, and just wrote myself, it takes a long time to grow an old friend. Yeah, I look at this page now and I kind of have to laugh. But anyways, so yeah, I've got lots of pages I can do in this one yet. And it's a nice little size. I mean, it's how long would it take you to do these, right? Just so the page, and these are nice heavy, most of the magazine stuff I have isn't this heavy. This is one I've been working on for a while, and I pulled this out of a mag, and see, these pages are so, even with 2 put together, they're still quite thin. You can still see maybe you can't, yeah, the models, and this, like, there's belts here. It was a fashion pullout out of a fashion magazine. One of those ones, you know, where they've got the glue here, and you got to pull it off out of the page and then take this gooey hunk of glue off. So this is the one, like, for instance, this is the one I did this page in. This is my absolute favorite page I've ever done. I want to do this one on a canvas, right? So I mean, there's been lots of really, and I love that the pages are so, like, there's nothing to them. I love this, and you can feel it almost feels like an acrylic skin, and that's all that's here, right? This was gelatos. This side was done with acrylic paint, but there's hardly, but this is what I love about this journal. It's not a stiff page. These ones are stiff pages. I put so much on them ahead of time, right? But I love this journal. I love the feel of, like, honestly, it feels like I'm working on an acrylic skin. It's, yeah, I can't describe it. Anyways, in the mail the other day I picked up they had this. It was just an advertising. So Saskatoon Farm selling trees. So it's basically like that. So I've already gel mediumed the first, and I use Mod Podge. When I'm putting 2 pages together like this, I don't use my expensive gel medium. I pull my Mod Podge out. Works great. You could probably even use watered down white glue if you wanted to. Some people use their ATG guns and tape. I find that just doesn't hold up with the wet media, because I do tend to put a lot on my pages. So these are not that thick at all. Like, these are very, very thin pages. So maybe 2 together won't be enough, but I think they'll be fine. And honestly, all I do I've got this little plastic cutting board from the dollar store, and I just take two. So I have my Mod Podge here, my brush, and I have an old room card, right? So I just slap it on. I don't worry about it being neat, because at the end of the day, it just has to sort of be together, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. And you know what? Most of the time it dries with bubbles. I don't care, because to me it just adds to the, like, look at how the page is curling as soon as I get it wet, right? So then I just simply go like that, take my my room card, credit card, whatever, and I do that, and you see how it squishes out all the extra gel or the extra Mod Podge, and then it can just dry. Okay, so I've got my book all put together here, and it's wrinkly and crinkly, and you know what? I'm a texture person. I love when I'm down a page and I can feel the page. This makes me happy. This, honestly, like even this, it still has texture. I love it, love it, love it. This one, not so much. This one, not so much, but yeah. Anyway, so yes, I don't mind the crinkliness of it at all. So what I'm going to do today, simply because I want you to see that you don't have to have the expensive stuff. You can still art journal. So I'm going to do this front page here. So I'm going to put it onto, and I've got my homemade gesso. So what I'll do is I'll put a link to that video up in that corner. You'll see a little eye show up, and if you want to go and watch that video to see how I made this, you can. I didn't have any white, I didn't have any cheap white craft paint, and I didn't want to use my good Liquitex paint to make my homemade gesso. So what I did was I actually went into my storage room, and I had a can of off-white paint. I didn't have a can of white, so I made off-white gesso, and you know what? It'll be fine. For what I'm going to do, you know, on the odd page, it'll be fine. So I'm just going to use this homemade gesso. Alrighty, so let's just get this. And if you want a thicker gesso, put more plaster of Paris in it. This one's kind of watery, probably a little bit more watery than I would normally like it, so I probably will add some more plaster of Paris to this one, just 'cause. But it covers as good as some of my other gessos. I don't mind this at all. I don't care that it's off-white, because most of the time I paint over top anyway, so truly the color of the primer underneath really does not matter. So this primer will, number one, give this page a little bit of tooth for whatever I decide to use, which I haven't yet, because that would require being, you know, planning ahead, which I rarely do. Mind you, I'm starting to do it more and more lately, but anyway, so there we go. I think I'm done playing now. So I'll give this a heat set. I'm not even going to put this in the water just yet, in case I decide to do another layer. I think just because this isn't that thick, I'm going to put another coat of this gesso on. There we go. Okay, now, if you don't, now I'm not going to use my texture paste through these, but these, don't they look yummy? I used them on my jelly plate. These are glue gun stencils that I made. And again, I'll put a link to that video. Where's my finger? Right there. That I made, and I can show, and it shows you how to create these. And these I use, so I've got one with flowers in it, and then I've got one with all different kinds of circles and other shapes. So just took the glue gun and just all over the place. Actually made some circles, some squigglies, actual circles inside of circles even. And then in this one, I made hearts and some hashtag, or hash marks, I should say. So there's some hearts that I did, another thing of hearts. So I'm actually going to use a couple of these with my paints afterwards and just show you how you can use these stencils. They're going to be too thick to use with my texture paste. I don't want texture paste that thick. on my page, but these work good with sprays, so you can use your sprays through them. That's not a problem. But yeah, so those are some of the stencils I have. Okay, I'm going to be right back. Okay, so I have a Cricut machine, and I actually went and got some heavier plastic, and I cut out some of my own stencils. I just found some designs that I liked on some of my cartridges and cut my own. I've bought stencils from the dollar store. I've bought more expensive ones, but yeah, this was one of the ones that I had made. So my texture paste, again, I made with my plaster of Paris, lots more of it. So basically the gesso and the plaster of Paris is just glue, paint, and plaster of Paris. That's what this is, that gunky, look at that, hey? And again with my cream colored paint, because that's all I had. So I'm just going to use this, and this is thick now, which is fine. So I'm going to just put some texture on this page. Now you can use, some people use baby powder when they make their homemade texture paste. My mother does, I know. I just don't want my pages smelling like baby powder, and that's fine. Let's see if I can line this up and do the rest of the page here. So doing all of this is just going to add more strength to the page as well, because we're working with some pretty narrow, right? Or narrow, sorry. Thin pages, right? So there we go. I'm going to clean this off right away, because you do not want this to dry on here, because that would make a huge, huge, huge mess. Okay, so it's all dry. So yeah, no, it makes a nice fine texture. This is weathered wood distress. I'm just going to spray this and dry it up. Okay, so I'm going to use my hearts, I think. There we go. And I'm just going to spray through them with some different colors of spray. Okay. Oh, maybe this isn't going to show up all that well in that darker background. I thought it would. You know what? It's because of the texture. Never even gave that a thought when I did this. Oh well, that is okay. If I wouldn't have put the texture down, you would see the outline of these hearts. But yeah, I never even thought of that. There's too much other stuff going on. So I think what I will do is build on that instead. I held that a little bit too close. Don't want that concentrated of a spray going down. I did a spray video as well, kind of showing you how to use your sprays and how to get different techniques. Check that out. Love it. This is homemade sprays. Look at the purple that got in the middle when you mix the blue and the pink. Very, very pretty. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to clean up here. I want to put some kind of a title on my homemade journal. Okay, I'm going to give that some thought, and then I will be right back. Okay, so when I was doing my glue gun stencils, I actually wrote out a bunch of words. So courage and imagine and art and hope, just whatever words you want. I just wrote with the glue gun, right, on my craft mat, and it just pulls right up. So anyways, I was thinking of doing something like that on the front of my page. So what I did was I grabbed, because I always like to practice first to see what it's going to look like. And all I did was I took my black cheap dollar store craft paint, makeup sponge from the dollar store, and I just dab a little bit of the paint on it. I don't know if you can see it here. You don't want to get your sponge too soaking wet, so you want to dab, and then you want to dab off around here a little bit, just so that you don't have this gob of paint, or else that's what happens, is you get this gob that doesn't look like anything. So what I did was I started to kind of play on my page here. I also have some words that I've stamped on tissue paper, and I like to do that to put it onto, so you can, you know, tear or cut or whatever and put them onto your page so that they show up and you don't have to try to stamp over top of a textured page, which doesn't work very well. So what I thought I would do, and I kind of put this here, didn't really know if I liked these words next to these ones, so I think I'm going to scratch this idea. But I think what I might do is do the dictionary page there, but I think I might try and actually just do black around these three and just make that my cover, I think. Yeah. So what I do is I just tore this out of the dictionary paper, and I tried to tear it as close as I could. Now, just to give you a bit of a little bit of a tip on tearing things out, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Depending on how you hold your paper and tear it, is whether you're going to get a clean line, like I did here, or whether you're going to have the paper from underneath showing. So when you're tearing, and you tear, you take this one here and go underneath, like pull it away from you, you're going to get a nice, clean, torn edge. If you grab this piece and pull it towards you, you see what ends up happening is you start to see the paper underneath. So it all depends on what kind of a look you're looking for when you are tearing out anything. Just a little bit of a tip there. I wanted the crisp lines, so I did it that way. Okay, here goes. What's the worst that can happen, right? So I am going to put this one here, and I'm just going to just dab some paint. Okay, I'm going to quit before I wreck it. Actually, I like that. That worked well. Okay, I'm going to do, so I'm just going to get some placement here. So I'm going to put this one back. And I think I like the contrast of the book page on there as well. Do you know what I'm contemplating doing now? To give it 3 different looks. You know what I might do? I think I will, because this one's so, I'm going to actually color this and glue it on. Oh yeah, check it out. Heck yeah, I like that. What do you think, eh? Good old Canadian, eh? Now. No making fun. Not allowed. There. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do now? I like a dark edge, so this sponge still has paint on it. So I'm just going around the edges to distress it up. I'm a distressed girl. There. My art page. What do you say? What do you think? What do you think, hey? All kind of homemade, nothing expensive. Check it out. Okay? The page has a little bit of substance to it now. This texture paste, I mean, look at not cracking or anything. It's like the flexible molding paste, homemade. Cost next to nothing. I'm pretty sure that art's going to stay stuck down. So there you go. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, then you'll get email notifications when I do upload a new video. If you can think of any other videos you'd like me to do, any other techniques you'd like me to show, please put it in the comments, and I would be happy to do that for you. Yeah, this is me after any time that I do any kind of creating. Yeah, I'll put the links to my social media underneath that I've been neglecting so bad lately. Oh, I tell you, it's horrible. My poor blog, I don't even know the last time I was at it. But anyways, so yes, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. You have no idea. And thank you for coming along once again. Bye-bye. Okay, I lied. I'm still not done. This wasn't quite right because black had got in between there. I gotta tell you, I came in with I got a little plastic, I don't even know what the heck it was at one time, but anyways, took my baby wipe, went in like this and scraped away the black paint, took my little spray bottle, took the lid off, put a little wee brush on the end and painted the pink back in. I'm not gonna lie, I so did that. But when I was also done this, I'm looking at this thinking, I know what I didn't do. I didn't do black splatters. I'm a black splatter girl. So all I did was put some black paint there, spritz some water, got a fan brush, and I'm just going to give it some black splatters. Now, a little trick when you are putting black splatters down, so you don't get ink all over your face, tilt the brush towards you, not away from you, and the paint won't come back at you. And I know that sounds like it's almost backwards, right? If you hold the brush sideways like this instead of flat, you're going to get bigger drops going down sometimes, depending on how watered down you made your ink, or your whatever. There. Yeah, I should probably quit because I've actually got a white sweater on right now. I think I just splattered paint all over me. Anyway, so there you go. Now I'm done. Thank you for watching.